What's up, rock stars? Welcome to my kitchen. My name is Deborah Smith. I'm a holistic health coach, and this channel is dedicated to sharing healthy plant-based recipes that contain foods that are rich in vitamins and minerals that are going to light you up, help you to have maximum energy as you go through your day, and in the long run, help you create a habit out of cooking plant-based meals so you can reduce or eliminate the risk of chronic illness as you age. So I'm so excited about today's recipe. It's the end of January, which means we're just a few weeks away from Valentine's Day. And I love sharing healthy ways to use, cook with, or bake with chocolate. Yes, I love chocolate. And if you love chocolate, you're gonna love this recipe. It's a flourless chocolate torte. Now, what makes it slightly healthier is that we're gonna be using dark chocolate. We've got 60% cacao chocolate, and it's sugar-free. We're gonna be using unsweetened cocoa powder, and we're going to include honey instead of processed sugar. You could also use maple syrup. We're also gonna be using coconut oil instead of any kind of processed, refined, or hydrogenated oil. It's just got some very simple ingredients, but it's delicious. It's gonna give you that rich, creamy, decadent, fancy dessert feeling without doing a lot of harm or damage. So let's get into the ingredients. Okay, you're gonna be cooking today with 4 ounces of unsweetened baking chocolate. If you buy one of these bars in the grocery store, that's 4 ounces right there. We're gonna be using 8 tablespoons of coconut oil. I've got 3/4 of a cup of honey I've already measured out, 3 eggs, and if you do not eat dairy, if you're vegan, I will link below to a recipe to make a flax egg. You can certainly make an egg or an egg-like texture from flaxmeal or ground up flax. So I'll link to that below. Then we're gonna be using 1/4 of a cup of unsweetened cocoa powder. I've mixed it half and half with the Sakara Super Metabolism powder because this powder contains L-glutamine, which is an amino acid. It's a nutrient that really nourishes a healthy gut. It's also got horsetail extract and kelp powder in it. So I love this product. I use it every single day as a metabolism booster for myself. It's a great substitute for cocoa. It's the exact same consistency as the cocoa powder, so I just went half and half for today. And I'll link to that below as well. And then we just need a little bit of vanilla. We're gonna use 1 teaspoon of vanilla and 1/4 teaspoon of salt. So go ahead, gather those ingredients, and let's get started. So step 1, preheat your oven to 375, and we're gonna prepare our baking dish. You could either use a springform pan, which is the kind that has like a little lock on the side of it and it pops right out, or you could do what I'm doing, which is I've prepared a round baking dish, and what I've done is I cut a circle of parchment paper on the bottom, and then I cut 2 long strips of parchment paper to make an X on the bottom. So at the end of baking this torte, I'm gonna be able to lift it right out of the pan without it sticking to the bottom. So I've got a circle of parchment paper for the bottom and 2 long strips that I formed an X with that are gonna work like handles. Okay, so once our baking dish is prepared, step 2 is we need to start making our batter. So we're gonna start by melting our chocolate and our coconut oil together. So we're gonna do this using a medium saucepan. So go ahead and add your coconut oil and your dark chocolate to your saucepan over a medium heat. I like to break up the bar into larger sized chunks, and then I'm just gonna keep stirring this until they're completely melted and very smooth. So while your chocolate is melting, you can go ahead and whisk your 3 eggs. And by the way, if you decided to use flax egg, you will make them before you start this step. So you'll have your flax eggs already ready, because flax eggs, they require that you refrigerate them for about 5 minutes before using. So if you are using flax eggs and you've already made them, you just need to add them to your mixing bowl. And I'm just gonna give this a quick whisk while my chocolate is melting. I just want to get the eggs completely whisked down so that they're nice and smooth as well. Okay, let's check the chocolate. Make sure to keep stirring the chocolate so it doesn't start to stick to the bottom of your saucepan and burn. You don't want to burn this. Okay, so my chocolate is completely melted and it's nice and smooth. I'm gonna go ahead and mix the rest of the batter right directly in the saucepan. So the next thing I'm gonna do is add my whisked eggs into the mixture. Now I'm gonna add my honey. So if you use maple syrup instead of honey, it's a little bit more viscous. It's a thinner liquid. The honey is a little thicker, so it just takes a little bit longer to stir those things together. But you wanna make sure that you get them combined so they're nice and smooth. You can use a whisk or a spoon, either thing. So we're just combining ingredients now. Next, we're gonna add our vanilla and our salt. And let's measure out that teaspoon of vanilla. Get that in there. And then the very last thing I want to do is sift in my cocoa powder and my Sakara Metabolism Superpowder. And the reason we want to sift it in is so there's not a lot of lumps. So for that, I'm just going to use a fine mesh little sifter, and I'm just going to kind of pour this into this thing like that. And then very slowly, while I'm stirring it, I'll let it sort of sift through. So just kind of shaking the powder so it very evenly distributes. And this, again, this just creates that nice smooth texture that will create a very smooth torte once it's baked. You don't want any lumps. So the sifting method just gets the lumps out of the cocoa powder. Okay, we got all the cocoa sifted in. Pretty easy so far. The next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna pour the batter into our prepared baking dish. So, my oven is preheated, perfect timing. And we just wanna kind of slowly pour it in, fill the entire bottom of the dish. And at the end, we'll just give it a little shake to make sure that everything is even and there's no lumps, and that we get it evenly distributed throughout the baking dish. Okay, let's put this in the oven and we're gonna bake it for 15 to 20 minutes. Now, depending on your type of oven and whether your oven runs hot or if you use a convection oven, that's one of the reasons why we say 15 to 20 minutes. What I will do is I will set my timer for 15 minutes. I'll check the consistency, and we wanna make sure that it's baked all the way through, but that it's just a little bit soft still in the center. So it's okay if you put a toothpick in and it comes out a little bit creamy, as long as that outer layer and that outer cake shell is firm enough that you can lift it out of the pan. If it seems like it's still too doughy, let it bake that extra 5 minutes and just keep your eye on it. But it's not gonna take us any longer than 15 to 20 minutes to bake our flourless chocolate torte. Let's put it in the oven. Okay guys, I've taken the flourless chocolate torte out of the oven. I actually let mine bake for about 22 minutes, a little bit longer than I said. And there it is. I used the strips here to just slide it over onto my plate, and then I pulled the parchment paper out from underneath of it. And now I'm gonna top it with just a nice thin sifted layer of cocoa powder. I'm gonna use my fine mesh strainer to sift a nice thin layer of chocolate, cocoa, and this dark cacao Metabolism Superpowder along the top of it. And that is going to be a gorgeous and healthy dessert. So if you're thinking about baking something for Valentine's Day, you might want to try this flourless chocolate torte. And don't forget to check the links below. I'll give you a copy of this recipe, and I'm also going to link to the Sakara Metabolism Superpowder. And I just hope that you love this. And as always, my friends, may you be vibrant.